The world is watching Africa with new eyes. Something is happening in Burkina Faso that has never been seen before. Something that defies the rules of politics, power, and even survival. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young leader who has captured the imagination of millions across Africa and beyond, has once again shocked the world. Not with words, not with speeches, but with an act so symbolic, so deeply powerful, that it left both his enemies and his supporters in awe. In the heart of Burkina Faso, at the banks of a glowing river, cameras caught a sight that no one could have predicted. It wasn't a military parade. It wasn't a fiery address to the nation. Instead, it was the silent but profound release of animals. Cattle walking free, antelopes leaping gracefully, birds soaring into the golden sky. And standing at the center of it all, Captain Ibrahim Traoré in his red beret and military uniform, his eyes fixed on the horizon, watching these creatures embrace their freedom. For some, it looked like a simple act of kindness. But to those who understand symbolism, politics, and the language of hidden messages, it was a warning, a declaration, and a prophecy rolled into one. Across Africa, whispers began to spread. Why did he do it? What does it mean? Is this connected to a secret plan? The symbolism of animals in African tradition runs deep. Releasing them is not just about setting them free, it is about breaking chains, about sending a message to the oppressor, and about reminding the people that freedom is a natural right. In that moment, Traoré wasn't just releasing animals. He was releasing the spirit of Burkina Faso. He was declaring that the chains placed on his people by centuries of exploitation and neocolonial control are being shattered, one by one. The enemies of Africa understood this immediately. The West, always keen to decipher the signals of rising African leaders, saw more than just animals crossing a river. They saw a metaphor. They saw a young captain daring to say, "If my people have been caged like these animals, then I will open the gates. If they have been treated like cattle, then I will restore their dignity. If they have been silenced, then like birds they will fly again." And yet, for the Burkinabe people, it was more personal. Across the villages, across the towns, stories spread like wildfire. Mothers told their children, "Do you see what our leader has done? He is not only a soldier of war, he is a soldier of life." Farmers saw hope that the land they till would one day be fully theirs, free from foreign corporations. Elders whispered that the spirit of Sankara, the revolutionary who once dreamed of a self-reliant Burkina Faso, had returned through this simple, powerful act. But let us ask the question that everyone is afraid to ask. Why animals? Why now? Why this message, instead of another speech or another military maneuver? The answer lies in strategy. A leader who only speaks is predictable. A leader who acts in symbols creates curiosity, and curiosity is the weapon that keeps both allies and enemies off balance. This act was not about today. It was about tomorrow. It was about reminding Burkinabe people and Africa as a whole that their fight for freedom is not limited to politics or guns. It is spiritual. It is cultural. It is deeply rooted in the land, in the rivers, in the animals, in the very soul of Africa itself. Now imagine this scene again. The river glows with the setting sun. The animals run free. The crowd cheers softly, almost reverently. And there stands Traoré, saying nothing but speaking volumes. That silence was louder than 1,000 speeches. That silence echoed across Africa louder than the voices of presidents sitting comfortably in foreign-controlled palaces. And in that silence, the message was clear. Freedom cannot be negotiated. Freedom must be lived. Freedom must be fought for, and once it is seized, it must be protected like the breath of life. Those who underestimated Traoré are beginning to understand. He is not just a soldier in uniform. He is a strategist. He is an image maker. He understands that power today is not only about tanks and guns, but about winning hearts, inspiring minds, and planting seeds of courage. That is why his every move goes viral. That is why millions across Africa share his images, his speeches, his symbols. And that is why this act of releasing animals has become one of the most powerful political statements of our time. Think about it. Other leaders hold grand ceremonies, ribbon cuttings, endless conferences. They drown their people in empty promises. But here is a leader who says nothing and yet says everything. A leader who reminds Africa that freedom is not a luxury. It is the natural state of existence. And as the animals ran free, Something else happened. The people watching began to see themselves in those creatures. They saw the chains of debt being broken. They saw the prisons of neocolonialism being opened. They saw the cages of fear being dismantled. They saw themselves running, leaping, flying, just as their ancestors once did before slavery, before colonization, before exploitation. This was not just Burkina Faso's story. This was Africa's story. From Lagos to Nairobi, from Dakar to Johannesburg, Africans are waking up, inspired by symbols like this. The message is simple. If Burkina Faso can rise, so can we. If Traoré can defy the powers of the world with courage and symbolism, so can we. But make no mistake, acts like this come at a cost. Already whispers are rising from Western capitals. Analysts on TV try to mock it, calling it a stunt. Governments in Europe and America shake their heads in disapproval. But deep down, they know what it means. They know that symbols are stronger than bullets. They know that once people believe they are free, no army in the world can enslave them again. This is why Ibrahim Traoré is feared, not because of his military rank, not because of his age, but because he is changing the rules of the game. He is playing a deeper game, one that connects politics with spirit, strategy with symbolism, leadership with sacrifice. And here is where you, the viewer, must reflect. What do you see in this act? Do you see just animals being released? Or do you see an entire continent being told that its time has come? Do you see just a riverbank in Burkina Faso? Or do you see a stage on which the new history of Africa is being written? This is more than news. This is prophecy. This is the rebirth of a continent. And it starts not with words, but with action. Not with treaties, but with freedom. Not with chains, but with open gates. Viewers, you must not remain silent. Share this story. Let the world know that Africa is not asleep. Let the world know that the spirit of Sankara, Lumumba, Nkrumah, and all the great revolutionaries lives on. Comment below with your thoughts, because your voice is part of this rising tide. And if you believe Africa deserves true freedom, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the story of Africa's rebirth is only just beginning. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where freedom is not begged for, it is seized. A chapter where leaders are not puppets, they are warriors. A chapter where Africa does not wait for permission, it writes its own destiny. And in the center of this chapter stands a young man with a red beret, a soldier who releases animals to release a message, a captain who speaks louder in silence than presidents do in speeches, a leader who dares to dream and dares to act. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, and his actions will echo through generations. Do not underestimate what you have just witnessed. History does not always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it arrives quietly, on the banks of a river, with animals running free into the golden sunset, while a leader watches in silence. And in that silence, the future is born. Remember this moment, because years from now, when Africa finally rises as one, when chains are broken and dignity is restored, people will look back and say, this is where it began. This is the day freedom was set loose. This is the day Captain Ibrahim Traoré reminded Africa of who it truly is. So ask yourself again, was it just animals or was it destiny? The answer lies not just in Burkina Faso, the answer lies in you. CTA integrated for maximum engagement. Like this video if you believe Africa deserves freedom. Subscribe now and join the movement. We are writing history together. Comment below. What message do you think Traoré was sending by releasing these animals? Share this video so the world hears Africa's voice.